The Indus civilization existed for nearly 2,000 years, rivaling the scale and sophistication of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Located in the northern part of the present-day Indian subcontinent, the Indus civilization was the most extensive urban culture of its time, with an estimated population of 1 million, 10% of the world's population at that time. Yet, around 1300 BCE, it vanished. It remained hidden from history for nearly 3,500 years. What happened to it? The clues to its history and subsequent demise might be in these pictographic signs found scattered throughout its territory. They have been found as far away as Mesopotamia, one of its trade partners. They're similar symbols, organized similarly, and found throughout its ancient territory. The only problem? They've never been deciphered. Even worse, some think it was never even a language. But the mystery of the Indus civilization might never be solved. Let me explain. The Indus civilization existed from 3300 BCE to 1300 BCE, lasting for nearly 2,000 years. To put that into perspective, that's the same amount of time between now and when Jesus was said to have lived. So a long time for a civilization to exist. The Indus civilization was one of the largest civilizations of that time, challenged only by ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Yet for its large size, not much is known about it. Chances are you know about ancient Egypt, and you probably know about Mesopotamia and the Fertile Crescent too. The Indus civilization isn't so fortunate. The civilization is lived on by numerous ruins found in present-day Pakistan, northeast Afghanistan, and northwestern India. There are remnants of urban planning, brick houses, water systems, metallurgy, and various other hallmarks of a sophisticated ancient civilization. Before 1300 BCE, it seemed to decline and then vanished. Archaeologists have pointed to a drought, perhaps drying the alluvial plain of the Indus River and decimating agriculture in the region. It took 3,500 years before the first modern accounts of the civilization came about. In 1829, Charles Masson, a deserter from the British East India Company's army, stumbled upon some ruins in the Punjab and wrongly attributed them to Alexander the Great's eastern conquests. One of these sites was a place named Harappa, which Masson found in 1829. He soon after returned to Great Britain and published a book which caught the attention of Sir Alexander Cunningham, an archaeologist. Cunningham began excavations in 1875 and identified the Indus script. The only problem was that he had no civilization to which to attribute the script, nor the ruins. About 30 years later, a new director of the Archaeological Survey of India, which Cunningham had founded, concluded that the Harappa site represented an ancient civilization previously unknown. Further excavations in the region over the next decade revealed the sprawling civilization which we now know as the Indus civilization. Still though, the civilization was grouped alongside other empires. A combination of racism, lack of local knowledge, and a lack of archaeological data led Europeans to attribute the sites to the Sumerians or even to the Egyptians. Yet there was no evidence of temples, palaces, no huge tombs, or names of kings or queens. Impressively, unlike ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, the Indus cities appeared to be pre-planned rather than the more usual ancient towns that naturally developed into cities over time. This suggested a bureaucracy that could plan, fund, and build cities. There also seemed to be no evidence of warfare. This was an ancient civilization on the scale of Egypt, with some signs showing that it was perhaps even more sophisticated than its North African counterpart. To understand the discovery and gradual knowledge about the Indus civilization, it's important to understand the context of the time and how it compared to, you guessed it, ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. These two civilizations were expansive and had written language. The decipherment of both the Rosetta Stone in the 1820s and Mesopotamia's cuneiform scripts in the 1850s prove that written language was used extensively back then. So, with a sophisticated culture like the Indus civilization, which was on par with two other giant civilizations, written language should certainly have existed, right? It's not that simple. Before deciphering the Indus Valley script, experts have to judge whether it is actually a language. Imagine when given a series of characters in a language you don't speak, you might recognize it as this language or that one. Or maybe you don't recognize it at all, but it looks like a language. Now imagine looking at the Indus Valley script and no one recognizes it. There are similar characters found around its ancient territory, about 4,000 inscriptions in total, so these certainly aren't just isolated drawings, but are they written language? Listen to this clip from Vox's Unexplainable podcast, which discusses some loose rules about written language, specifically regarding the Indus Valley script.
How do you know if something is writing or if it's just pictures? There are no hard and fast rules here.
So just to list a few, first of all, you see linearity.
Written languages tend to be organized in a clear, straight line, unlike, say, a coat of arms, which could have symbols all over the place.
Secondly, we know something about the directionality.
Languages tend to be written in a certain direction, so maybe right to left or top to bottom.
And then finally, whether there is any kind of structure that resembles the kind of structures you find in a linguistic script.
Take English, for example. Whenever you see a Q, you're usually going to see a U right after it. That's a clue that English is a written language and not just some random grouping of symbols.
So we have 3 things to look for: linearity, directionality, and structure. Does the script pass the test? Linearity, yes. The script is clearly written in a line. Directionality, also yes. The script is written from right to left. Experts discover this by noticing how characters tend to get smushed as the line gets closer to the left side. The third thing, structure, is harder to prove. There's no translatable template. This reveals 3 critical problems that are still stumping researchers. Firstly, there is no concrete understanding of the script's underlying languages. Some experts argue that it's a form of Sanskrit or ancient Dravidian or some other local language, but that line of thinking hasn't proven any bit helpful in deciphering the script. There was an ancient language called Linear B found in Greece, which was deciphered because it was a prototype for ancient Greek. The Mayan language in Central America was deciphered because people still speak Mayan today. The Indus script has no documented predecessor. If it is a language, then it seems like a forgotten one. Secondly, there are no names of Indus rulers or important figures that are known from myths or historical records. The names Ramses and Ptolemy were known to researchers from records of ancient Egypt available in Greek. Thirdly, and perhaps unsurprisingly, there is no bilingual transcription of the Indus script with an other language, like the Rosetta Stone, which features ancient Greek and ancient Egyptian. That being said, we aren't completely in the dark. There have been some discoveries in the past century, like the directionality of the script, and that pace of discovery has only accelerated. For example, researchers have established the number of unique signs, and that number has only increased. The widely accepted number is 425 signs, up from just 62 in 1982, although a more recent paper has increased that number to 707 signs. While there's still a lot of debate about how many signs there are, it's generally accepted that those signs are a combination of logographic signs representing words and concepts, like a $sign, and a smaller subset of syllables. That being said, modern logographic languages, like Chinese, contain tens of thousands of characters. That means that the evidence we have of the Indus script is either incomplete or the written language never fully encapsulated the spoken form of the language. That wouldn't be surprising since early forms of Mesopotamian cuneiform did not fully represent the spoken form of the language. Still though, it remained undecipherable. That's when computers come in. In recent years, a team of researchers, including the guest on the Vox podcast that we heard speak, developed a computer program that could answer this question: was the Indus script a language? They knew they couldn't decipher the script, so the focus was on whether the script was conveying any sort of linguistic information. They fed the program not only the Indus script, but also languages, DNA sequences, music, and computer code. They were looking for a statistical representation of order, patterns, and frequencies. The output? The DNA sequence was the most disordered, meaning that it was incredibly random. Makes sense. The languages were close to each other, representing some order, which again makes sense since there are certain rules that languages follow. Think of a U following a Q in English. Nestled in with those languages, cleanly lined up with the Tamil language, the Indus Valley script. This isn't the smoking gun that proves the script is a language, but it sure makes the argument hard to ignore. And having accepted that it is indeed a language, researchers can continue trying to decode it. The ongoing attempts at decoding it are, as a generalization, pretty much trial and error. There is no reference point, so researchers have to make one up and see if the Indus script lines up with that theory. Even some of the researchers that created the computer program now think that success with computer code, AI, and deep learning will be limited. That tactic is dependent on the input of data, which right now is limited. There remain dozens of unexcavated Indus sites that could eventually turn up a crucial clue, but but that hasn't happened yet. And while more data in the form of more symbols and lines are being turned up, sometimes they're too worn to make out. Is that scratch a mark of wear and tear, or is it making a character an entirely new symbol? That's the current state of decipherment, which to me is frustrating. It reminds me on a larger scale of the burning of the Library of Alexandria. All the information, could it be lost forever? For the Indus script, it's particularly cruel because the symbols are right in front of us, we just don't know what they say. It took a century to decipher the Mayan script, but that was used more recently in history and with comparable languages in the present day. The Indus script is older and sparser. Unfortunately, there's no answer to it, nor an end in sight. Researchers will keep trying the brute force approach, and maybe a clue will be dug up at one of the Indus excavation sites. For now, we'll be left to wonder about who they were and what words they left behind for us to see. If you like this video and others of mine, it would mean a lot to me if you like and subscribe. I'm trying to be more consistent in my uploads, but ultimately it takes a lot of time and effort to get these videos out. Let me know that you like them and support me here on YouTube or via my Patreon. The link is in the bio. Thank you.